we for this winter's weather?
We're very ready. We have spent the last 12 months making sure that all of the generators are ready to operate, working with our transmission distribution providers, and also making sure that all of the communicators across the state are ready to communicate well to each of our customers.
Can you talk about some of the improvements that have been made?
Yes, the cornerstone, the real foundation to this change has been making sure that our generators in the state are prepared for the winter. They've improved their weatherization, made sure that they had more insulation on their equipment, and we've gone out and inspected them to make sure they've done that. On top of that, the legislature gave us the ability through the Public Utility Commission to levy penalties up to $1 million per day per occurrence if they fail to do so. The generators have also done a fantastic job. They began working on their units well before the winter. In late summer, they began ordering equipment and taking outages to make sure that they had their units available and ready for us. And when we complete our inspections, the vast majority of them completed without concerns.
You know, I actually don't have a lot of concerns right now about the generators, but I have a whole lot of concerns about the natural gas industry. Do you have concerns?
I always am concerned about fuel integrity, making sure that we can get fuel to our generation plants. One of the things that the commission is working on, and we've been working with them, is setting up a on-site fuel requirement for some of our generators. That on-site fuel requirement would give our generators an alternative. If natural gas fails to operate, they'd be able to operate off these alternate fuels. So we look forward to being able to set up that structure in our market.
You know, you saw the recent fight between Entergy and Vistra or Luminant, whatever you want to call them. I mean, you know, what concerned me there was you have a situation where, in that case, Luminant's two of their power plants were completely reliant upon energy transfer. Should there be something changed to add additional regulation to ensure that power plants aren't cut off by natural gas entities over a price dispute?
We continue to work through what's called the Texas Energy Reliability Council. And the TERC, the major function is to improve that communications through natural gas and the electric industry. And I believe we'll be able to resolve these issues there. It does concern me, yes, but I think we have the forum for resolving them.
And what do you think about that recent sudden drop in natural gas production back on January 2nd?
If that number is correct, and I don't know if it is, but Bloomberg reported a 20% drop in production in West Texas, and it does concern me. It shows that we still need more work to be done on the weatherization of our natural gas fleet. But I do know that many of those gas suppliers have been working on improving their weatherization, and the Railroad Commission will be putting in place rules for next winter for that weatherization requirement on those gas facilities.
But that doesn't solve it for this winter.
It doesn't solve it for this winter, but there is one thing the Railroad Commission has done. In order to make sure that the gas facilities were getting power during one of these winter storms, they have required that most of gas suppliers actually get on a critical infrastructure list with their transmission and distribution provider, meaning that they won't be rotated if there is an outage in the system. And that will allow us to keep more of those facilities online.
So after the session, Governor Abbott had tweeted that you know, the legislation that he signed had fixed the situation. Do you agree with that?
Well, I believe that the legislation did an incredible job of really focusing in on what the most important areas were. As I said just a moment ago, the ability of ERCOT to inspect generators and then to work through the Public Utility Commission to levy fines if those generators fail those inspections is something that was given to us by the legislature. We never had that before. And so there are several $1 million fines that are out there, that have been out there for some time, and several million more that are coming very soon for generators that failed to meet our expectations.
And I still think, I guess the biggest concern that all of us have, and this is someone who lost power for 2.5 days and it was very cold, is, you know, just again, this lag time with natural gas being required to be winterized. How much of a concern is that for you?
It remains a concern, but as I said, a lot of work has been done on the gas side as well. More is to be done, and we all realize that, but a lot of work has been done. I think one thing that is overlooked is that a lot of the gas suppliers have done weatherization on their own facilities in advance of any regulations. So they've begun preparing themselves. But I do want to see the Railroad Commission move forward with those weatherization standards, and I do want to see their inspection process start just as the Public Utility Commission has already done.